Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Learn with Jason, a 90-minute pair programming show where we're going to try to learn something new so that you can get booped on the brain. Today on the show, we have one of my favorite people, Shirley Wu, who I believe is going to appear. She has developed the ability to apparate, it would appear. So, Shirley, hi, how are you? Oh, no, she's gone. Oh, she's back!
Hi. Also, okay, first of all, can I just say how flattered I am that you said that I'm one of your favorite people? Like that is thank you so much. You're one of my favorite people. Yeah.
Ah! Okay, so I never laugh as hard as when you're on the show. So I mean, not to like put
Really?
any pressure on you to be funny or anything, but be funny because
I'm just
I've set
naturally
stakes pretty high.
yeah. Wait, can we just explain the my amount of joy from given current circumstances, I've gone through the whole array of video call platforms.
Hmm.
And I never thought I'd be so well. I don't think I'm so intimately familiar with Zoom or anything right now, but I now know more functionality about it than I ever used to. And it took me like 20 minutes to set up this background when I was like on the Waffle.js meetup.
Yeah,
And then and for context, that's why I'm so overjoyed by this.
this is and this is great because you're just closing your camera cover, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
No. It's magic.
yeah.
I'm
I was gonna say that
operating.
was a good opportunity for you to lie. Like,
Yeah. Wait. Hold on. Redo.
you're just closing your laptop cover, right?
No. This is magic.
You've
It's
been reading a
magic.
lot of Harry Potter.
Believe,
You've got this
Jason.
down.
Yeah. No, I haven't read Harry Potter in like a decade, but I used to watch the movies religiously when I code. I used to have it in the background for like years. So
Oh, so it like
the
really,
movie knowledge is there.
yeah. Oh, good call. This is an
Oh,
invisibility
yeah. No,
cloak.
it's invisibility cloak. You're right. No. Yeah, it's an invisibility cloak.
This is great. All right, y'all. So I am super super excited. So before we start, a little bit of housekeeping. I want to do another giveaway today. So my Jamstack Fast Track workshop is tomorrow, and I'm gonna give away one seat. So I'm gonna get this started. This is a raffle. So anyone who is a subscriber will get an extra entry. So if you've been thinking about subscribing, if you've got Amazon Prime and you want to do that, it helps out the stream and it'll give you an extra vote on this. So go ahead, let's get that started. And so now, for the rest of the show, you'll be able to enter. You can just do exclamation point raffle. Thank you very much for the sub. Yeah. All right. We are ready to roll here. Wow. All right. I didn't think I was going to kick off a bunch of subs, but thank you very much, Erikiva and Jade Nielsen. I appreciate that very much. Oh man, we got everybody here. Chris is here. Tomaz is here. Milan is here. I saw Chance the Dev up there. You'll appreciate this. So on Sunday, I did a
Hmm.
cooking show with Marissa, and we did Chance's biscuit recipe. It was so good.
Wait, what's chances biscuit recipe?
Chance the Dev on Twitter is
Oh,
from the
okay,
South,
yeah.
and he
Uh-huh.
has a good biscuit recipe. And so,
Ooh.
me having always been in like the Pacific Northwest, more or less, I've never had good biscuits. Like I have to go to the South to get good biscuits. And so Chance has this recipe, and I was like, well, maybe I can make that recipe. Um, so Marissa and I like hung out and made the biscuits on stream, and they actually came out.
Oh,
All right, full
that
full
sounds
chaos
awesome.
right off.
Oh my God. There are corgis. Wow,
Oh, it's
you
so
warned
good,
me.
so good. Okay, all right.
It hasn't, wait, hold on. It's only been, wait, when was the last time we streamed? January? February?
I
It
think
hasn't
yeah,
been that long, Jason.
I know, and things have gotten so much worse on here. We've lost all
I can't
semblance of
even,
control.
it's great. It just takes me a certain headspace to get into this.
I know. It's like that's why we do this interview first, right? You got to have some time so we can adjust to the chat, right? Like, and you know, I feel like the chat has to get a certain amount of corgis out of their system early on in the show, because they get pent up between episodes.
Yeah.
We did remember to turn off the oven, Vaughn. Yes. So yeah. All right. So what do you want to do today? It has been a while since we've done this because actually the last streams that we did weren't on the data visualization. They were on, what was the other thing we did?
Oh, we were trying to get my website running.
That's right. We did Nuxt, which was great because neither one of us knew Nuxt.
Yeah. I love the amount of like confidence we went, and we were like, we should be able to figure this out, right? Yeah.
Yeah, it went. I mean, it went well. We got it working, kind of, mostly.
Yeah. It was great. And then so I guess maybe the last one was November. Oh wow.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. We need to, first of all, I fully readjusted to my college schedule of like working until 2 or 3 a.m. Sometimes 4 a.m. and getting back up at like 10 a.m. or 11 a.m. So like last night I made sure to go to sleep at like 1:30 so that I could be like semi alive for this. And I set my alarm for 9 a.m. And I snoozed until 9:40. And so this is my coffee. And I was hoping we could just chat and catch up on life and on that project until the coffee actually sets in.
I'm all about it. Hey, Tamaz, thank you very much. So yeah, we have. So what we've done, like, let's start by talking a little bit about kind of what generative data visualization is, because this is something that you are like. This is like your unique skill, right? You're one of the like the leading kind of experts on this, right? Like you do this as your job. You've done amazing visualizations with everything from like movie data to like I saw. It's gonna be a long show.
You can't talk anymore, Jason. No. We can't have this conversation.
But I just saw something. I've seen several things that you've done that just really blew my mind. Like I saw recently you did a piece where you did like data visualization of I'm going to get this wrong. Prominent women in computer science, and it was like these really cool like glass cutouts that had like LED lights. And do you want to talk a little bit about this stuff? Because I feel like I'm doing my best to remember and doing a poor job.
Yeah, no worries. Well, thank you. I don't know about generative data visualization, but I don't know. I just do what I like to do. So the what you're talking about was what I was working on the last few times we had the stream. So when we had the last few times we did this particular series, which hello.
Yeah, thank you, Chris.
I'm getting distracted by all of the like moving things on screen.
So much
very
moving
like
stuff.
Susceptible. It doesn't say like Uni one.
They're like unicorns. I don't know why they're not getting picked up by the overlay, but they're getting picked up in the Twitch chat, which is weird.
Yeah, wait, sorry. When I said uni, I got really excited because I thought it was talking about like sea urchin, like sushi, which I have not had in like months. And that's hard for me because I love sushi and I try to have it like every 2 or 3 months. And ever since January, when this kind of started going, I'm like, I'm not gonna chance eating raw fish.
I know.
Also,
we just found one of our favorite like fishmongers, because that's legitimately what they're called. They're open and they're like doing same day delivery of fish, and they have like sushi grade tuna and sushi grade salmon and stuff. So now I'm kind of like, Okay. Is this the time that I try to teach myself how to make sushi?
Yes, yes, yes. I am not kidding. Yes. So there's like two things that I live on in this world. One is sushi. I mean, like not that I eat it regularly, but like that it brings me joy in life,
It's
which is
yeah.
one is sushi and the other is boba.
Mm.
And so I mean, we don't leave our place really anymore. So and my favorite boba place temporarily shut down. So we've been trying to figure out how to make boba at home from scratch.
Ooh.
And that is one of the life skills that we've decided to gain during this time. The other life skill being how to live on an island, apparently.
Yeah.
It's
Yep.
something we decided to uh, like get into Animal Crossing last week. So,
Good. Good.
but
We
eventually,
uh Prince, who
right?
I don't think Prince is in the chat right now, but he's one of the regular Party Corgi members, is building an app that I love called Turnip Stonks that does the buy and
Okay.
sell prices for turnips in Animal Crossing.
Wait. Okay. So are they set every day random? They're set twice a day randomly,
hmm
like per player, or is it like a what's the word? Like a is it the same across everyone?
Oh, Prince is in the chat. He will know. So, Prince, is it set randomly per player? It is per player.
Okay.
Per island. Per island.
Per island. Okay, 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 that makes
Oh,
sense.
oh, and so that okay, so that makes sense because that so what Prince is building is basically you can list your buy and sell prices. So if you find one where like you could make a lot of money by selling your turnips, you could go like sell your turnips on somebody
To
else's
someone
island.
else's island.
Yeah, smart
Smart. Ooh,
stonks.
okay. I need to think about that more.
Yeah,
All right.
I mean,
Um,
what I really love about this is that Animal Crossing is secretly teaching everybody how to do a bunch of things that we never would have done in real life, like day trading.
oh, that's true. Wait. I was gonna say it like so. We just started getting. We like resisted for a very long. Well, no, we didn't resist. Like I don't really play video games, and I don't have a Switch, so like it wasn't my call. But my husband does. And it's not his aesthetic of game. So like we didn't get into it like a month ago or whenever it released. And so we're very behind. And we just got to the turnips, but we were commenting about how this like teaches kids about real life, except not really because there's no such thing as 0% interest. Um, and yeah, both 0% interest in savings and loans. That's not a thing.
Zero. Oh yeah, geez, that's that's deep.
Um, yeah, but anyways, okay.
All right, so you were telling us before we got completely derailed by the chat and biscuits and boba. We were we were talking about
It's
wow
a difficult time.
we made like four tangential leaps in one sidetrack. That's this is what I love about having you
Yeah.
on the show is we're going this way. All
My
right.
brain's been all over the place. It's a time. It's a yeah. Um anyways, yeah, so hold on. Let me remember last fall because it feels like so long ago. Last fall I was still in New York.
Yes.
I'm back in San Francisco now. And I was in New York for a residency slash fellowship. And I was working on what you mentioned about 5 tangents ago,
hmm
which is a physical data installation of women in computing. And so it was a kind of this installation where we had these glowing orbs and each orb represented a woman and they were like arranged based on their data and they were placed like in 3D space based on their
Mm.
data. And then the concept was that as people went through and read about the woman in each orb got brighter and brighter and brighter. So we started
Ah.
out all of the orbs dimmed, and that was kind of like the metaphor for how these women in computing have done amazing things, and yet like we never really hear about their names. And as like the installation goes on, they get brighter as more people read and learn about them. So it was like a very, very incredible, like, we only got to do 16 because of space limitations,
Sure.
but it was just like awesome, like working with that data set and gathering everything and like reading about each one of them. And I do want to go back to that data set and like do like spin-off visualizations and stuff. So that's one thing. And then I also did another thing that was like women artists in Hong Kong, and that was, I don't know if you saw that one, but that was like mountains,
Cool.
watercolor painting sort of mountains. I think it's, the domain is hkartistswomen.com.
hkartistswomen.com.
Oh, or it's on my Twitter, I guess. Yeah.
This is all right. So this is already cool. So I'm gonna share this, and then when we switch over, we'll do a quick view on this. But yeah. So and like all the things that you're talking about, and what I think is so cool about this is that, you know, these are the sorts of things that it is often really difficult to get somebody to care about numbers. And I feel like a lot of times, you know, I'll have like, just practically speaking, you know, I'll be at work and I will be trying to convince somebody that a certain approach is making a measurable difference. And I'm talking about like, you know, 3% improvements of this, or like, you know, 500 millisecond improvements here, or, you know, this percentage of customers is converting. And it feels so abstract that a lot of times it just kind of, it feels like it falls flat. Like my answer, my argument doesn't carry the weight that it should, because I'm saying a number and somebody who doesn't care about the thing and doesn't have the context for what that number means just kind of looks at it and goes, yeah, whatever. And what I think is really cool about data visualization and what you do in like, just as at the highest level, is like you're taking something that might be hard for somebody to engage with and making it really engaging. And I think that's such a, I don't know, it's just so far outside of what I usually do on a day-to-day, and I'm always just super impressed when you see it done well, because, you know, like, when was the last time that you emotionally connected to an Excel sheet? Probably rarely, right? But like, I've looked at so many infographics and had like an emotional reaction to them, and that's just another way of showing me a spreadsheet. And it's just so cool.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I think that's my favorite part about it. So I personally really love numbers. Like, I do really geek out, like looking at a data set, and I'm like, ooh.
So you do emotionally connect to spreadsheets.
Well, not spreadsheets. Not spreadsheets in a raw form. That's true. It's very hard to like get things out of a spreadsheet because they're just like rows and rows of numbers. But I do love like digging into it and just seeing the numbers and being like, oh, that's interesting. Like, what's this like interesting pattern I see. But that is the part that I enjoy the most, trying to figure out like this interesting thing I found, how can I present it in a way that will get other people to think it's very interesting. And one of the things I love doing is trying to figure out, I love trying to like build layers into my work. So if somebody comes to it and they're like, oh, this is pretty, I'm like, cool, thanks. Like, that's like one layer accomplished. And then people are like, and somebody comes and they're like, oh, this is pretty, like, let me dig into it. And I'm like, oh, even better. And if they're like, oh, this is pretty, let's dig into it. Whoa, this is like really interesting. Then I'm like, oh yeah, I've like done my job. And I'm like happy with any range of that. But I think it's really important, especially like you said, for data sets that people might not necessarily care about, to grab their attention in some way and then develop that. I think that is the most interesting part. So yeah, but I'm still very much learning. There's like plenty of things that I feel like I'm not very good at. So. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I think that's, if you stop feeling like that's true, I feel like that's when you've stopped advancing, right? Like anytime that I feel like I know things, I've realized that I have hit a point where I'm plateaued or like becoming apathetic. Like if I feel like I don't want to learn or don't need to learn anything, I'm like, do I even like this anymore? Like if I'm not interested in improving, if I'm not interested in trying to do better, why am I here? Like, why is this the job I'm doing?
Ooh.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, but yeah. So on that note, do you want to switch over? We can look at some data visualizations, look at what we did before, and then decide what we want to do today.
Yeah. Let's
Okay,
do
so
that.
let's switch over. And what we'll start by doing is, so this is the third installment in a series that Shirley and I have been working on. So the last one, I'll link to it here. And what we ended up building was this. So we actually got further than I remembered, where we took the
Oh my
bucket
God, you're right.
and we were getting data on the screen. So we've got the titles, we've got the bucket, and then we've got the halo. And the size of the bucket and the halo is different based on certain metrics. And I
Yes.
don't remember what those were. Um,
Wait, I have them. I can pull them up.
oh, good.
So this morning I was trying to figure out if I could connect my iPad to my desktop, and the answer is no because I don't have a USB-C to USB adapter. So
Oh
this is
no.
gonna be how it has. To, oh no.
Oh
Okay, wait, hold on.
no.
This is not gonna work.
That invisibility cloak is really biting you in the ass right now.
Yeah, it is. Well then. So I'll just read it out loud. So bucket size maps to average viewer duration.
Okay.
Um, we had a lot of things that I think today we're just gonna like cut out to if we can eventually get there. But if we can't, that's fine. So the next thing is wing size is Twitter audience. I think that we can push to like as a nice to have. The color of the contents of the bucket is the part of stack it was, which I think we can also have as a nice to have. The mustache, cute, was whether you were the teacher or not. I think that one might be doable. The halo size is number of shares, and I think that could be doable. And sparkles is the level beginner, intermediate, or advanced. And that could be like a stretch goal for today, I think.
Okay. So I have the code up in front of us so that we can see what we're looking at. And so the data that we've stored, we converted it to a JSON object at some point. So I pulled fresh data.
Mm-hmm.
The catch that we're going to run into here is that we manually, well, actually we didn't. The chat very helpfully went out
The
and
chat was
pulled
awesome.
everybody's Twitter following. So our data here includes. Here's the data. And this data includes our like the Twitter following. But I think we have the rest. We have the shares. We don't have this, but we weren't using this, right? We're not using the like versus disliked.
No, I don't think we were.
Okay.
No, we're not.
So yeah, so we have subscribers. Okay, so we've got the title, and then we have shares, average percentage viewed, view duration, watch time, subscribers, and then I think that's it. Yeah, so that's what we have that comes out of YouTube. Any other data that we need if we were going to do this regularly. So effectively, the way that I see this working is once we get this built and we actually put this out into the world, we would want to update the data regularly.
Mm-hmm.
And I know myself, and there's no way that I'm going to go and pull guest Twitter followings. So we
Yeah.
might want to drop that just because I don't think it will be. I don't think that the data will ever stay up to date if we
Okay.
keep that. So I would say we
Yeah.
probably just want to grab the stuff that we can get out of YouTube itself.
Okay. What about your because you have part of stack and level.
Those we would have to manually add, but that's okay because that part I should be adding anyways because we're over like excitingly enough, we are over 100 episodes now. So this is now
I
becoming
noticed.
pretty unmanageable to scroll through. It's like it's really exciting, but like we have no way of filtering down to find what you're looking for.
Yeah, that makes
So
sense.
as a straight UX improvement, I need to do that work anyways. So I can pull that together and make that available to the visualization.
Makes sense.
And then so we've got the part of the stack, role, and the beginner. and I'll be able to get all of that data tracked in the content management system.
Cool.
Yeah. So let's see. Whew. All right. So let's just check the. Oh, there's a question. Have you ever done machine learning related visualizations?
No, not. I'm just being hesitant because I'm like, my memory does not go back past like the last 2 or 3 months anymore. And I'm like, have I? No, I don't. I don't think I have.
Oh, Suze is here. Hey, Suze, how you doing?
God, Suze! I miss you. I keep trying to make Suze's stream, but it's 8 a.m. on a Sunday, and I'm deep asleep then. No, I don't. I don't think I do. I don't think I have. Can you tell that like my brain is not working like before 11 a.m.?
I know it's early.
Oh, so cute.
Thank you, Tamaz. Have a good night.
Oh, okay, anyways, so no, I don't think I have, but I do know Google Brain does a lot of like, has like a really intense visualization team that does a lot of stuff. But machine learning has always intimidated me, and I've like stubbornly stayed away from it. And I see there's like another question about pulling data from static CSV or from a database, and that really depends on what I'm doing. A lot of times I'm doing like static data visualization. So in that case, I'll just use like a static CSV or JSON. And if I do, like, if I have something where I want like to record like user input or something, then I'll use the database. But mostly it's static CSV.
Nice. Okay, cool. So I have pulled this code, and it looks like, yeah, everything that's on GitHub is now local. And so, assuming I can figure out what code we wrote, serve, I should be able to, did we do this with NPM or yarn? Yarn.
Oh, but you've had, you've learned Vue.
I sort of learned Vue. I've had help from many people. So Divya came on and taught Short Div on Twitter. She helped teach a bunch of really cool Vue stuff, and then I had Gift come on and we played with Gridsome, which was super fun. And then you and I did the Nux stuff. But if I'm being honest, that's about all of the Vue I've ever done.
And the Nux stuff, I don't know if we got very far. So
I think we didn't. No, we got like a blog building, I think, which was cool. We did manage to get like pages generating from data, I believe.
No, I don't think we did. I think we got like hello world going.
No, we totally did. Hold on, I'm gonna find this. Automatic deploys. What did we get built? We got this site built. Nope, we totally did not.
You know what? That statement is still the same today. As long as you choose to have these, and I know you already like delay the stream for me, which I'm very grateful for, but as long as we're having the stream before noon, that statement will always be true. I don't have very healthy morning habits.
Yeah. There's a question about whether you should use Vue or React for data visualizations. Do you have an opinion on this?
Oh, I think Ecomath. Yes. I think they answered it quite well. It is really whatever you're comfortable with. I personally prefer Vue because I think it pairs with D3 a lot easier. And D3 is the data viz library that I use pretty much in every project. And I think Vue goes with D3 much easier than React goes with D3. But other than that, I think Vue also makes what I want to do with data visualizations really easy, which is that Vue makes animations really easy to do, just because of its like really nice green sock and CSS animation support. And the reactivity makes it really easy for me to update my data visualizations in like a performant way. So
Yeah.
that's why I prefer Vue. And I think it helps me like write less lines of code. But it really is like what you feel most comfortable with. Yeah.
Nice.
Should we start talking about this? So I know somebody was super nice and made this SVG for us.
Yes, and I think that got put. Where was it? I think the bucket got listed in here somewhere.
Ooh, awesome.
Yes, our bucket.
Oh, so cute.
Who did this for us? It was Ben Oldenburg. So shout out to Ben
Thank you,
for
Ben.
hooking us up with that.
I just realized that I just said that the thing I drew was cute, which is very self-serving. But I just meant what Ben made for us with the animation is really cute with the sparkles and stuff.
Yeah, no, this is great. I also didn't realize. Look at this; it's all animated.
Yeah, with the sparkles. The
When
sparkles
did this
are
happen?
animated.
That's so cool.
Yeah. But I think today what I want to do is I want us to actually draw the bucket ourselves.
Okay.
30 minutes in, we're actually going to get to the content. So I think we should start up a CodePen and then let's remote work through SVG paths together.
Okay. So I'm going to go over here to CodePen, and then I'll create a new one. And then if I want to, let's see, there's a way for me to share this, I think. Privacy. How do I share? Oh, I think I just need to let me create one, and then I'll put it up in like full screen mode so that the URL is hidden, because these hackers in the chat will come mess with us if I don't.
Okay.
So then let's see. Yeah, I'm gonna go to collab mode, and I will send this to you in Twitter so that you've got a link to it. And then we can. You hackers, you dirty hackers. Precisely the problem. And then if I take this over here. Okay. So now I should be able to let's see. Holy bucket SVG.
Cool.
Okay. Are you in? Did you find it?
Wait, how am I supposed? How do I find it? What?
I DM'd you the link to it on Twitter, and then you should be able to work in it with me.
Awesome. I was just like watching you mesmerized. I'm like, oh, what is he doing? Okay, let's do this. So let's just get like let's just get an SVG going. Ooh, can I not type in here? Oh, there we go. Let's just get an SVG in here.
Wait, are you in? Are you in this?
Yeah, wait, why isn't it? Do I need to log in? Oh, there we go.
Okay, here we go. Okay, I was in the wrong view. That's my fault. All right, so now we're in collab view, and so I can see you've got an SVG.
Okay, and then let's just make this some simple height. And now what I want to do is, and this is going to be just purely SVG. It's going to, ooh, light blue. Okay.
So I was thinking that I could just make like maybe the background on the SVG white or something, so we can just kind of see what's happening.
Oh, 100 is too small. Okay. Actually, if you want to set the width and height there, that's fine. I'm used to setting it here because in JavaScript I set it on. Yeah.
So, okay. Width and height, 400 by 400.
So today, what I want to talk to you about is this SVG element. There's quite a few different SVG elements, and let me actually step back. So SVG is kind of like an XML dialect, I guess is the word to use, but it's kind of like HTML, but instead of having divs in it, paragraphs in it. That's a lot for text. SVG is great for drawing shapes into the web page. So a lot of the most common shapes that I like to use are lines, circles, rectangles. But today I want to kind of like go through and create paths with you, because paths are like kind of what intimidates people the most, because they have this attribute called D, which I think stands for define, and it will be like a series of letters, and like it really intimidates people.
Yeah, looking at this, I think the D stands for danger.
I like it. And yeah, I just want to show, like, I want to explain to people they don't need to be intimidated. So wait, let me give it a stroke really fast. I'm gonna be really boring. Yay! Okay.
Oh, so, wow. Okay, that happened so fast. Right, I was looking at the chat and I came back and you'd already done stuff. I do. Yes, that's why Shirley's here, because I need adult supervision.
I hope that when I come back to Twitch, and I keep saying I'm going to come back to Twitch, I hope that when I come back to Twitch, like my chat is going to be as fun as yours. Like I hope that I have like all the GIFs and all of the things that you have set up.
When you come back, I built a thing that, like, I built the thing that's doing these overlays, and we can totally do a stream where we set it up together. It'll be super fun.
That's so cool. Oh, and a belated thank you very much for helping me on my like one stream I had like last month, where you taught me how to audio split. So for that one, I interviewed Colin McGill, who helped create NextTrain. And so we just kind of, which is nexttrain.org/ncov, I think.
.org/which one?
NCOV. And so it's a amazing visualization of different different virus streams. So this is essentially kind of
whoa.
I should not really be talking about this, but it's each of these are DNA samples of COVID-19. And if you go down below, other panel.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So this is they're mapping all of the places that it's been sampled from, and where, like, I guess genetically they've found come from, like where the mutations come from.
Okay.
So when we did the stream together, he explained everything to me. And I don't think I should re-explain, because I think I'm not going to be able to do it correctly. But yeah, when we did this last month, it was much more sparse, but an amazing website. And we did a whole stream kind of talking through the tool, because they were getting a lot of interest from devs on helping out. And so we kind of did an onboarding stream, and you helped me figure out how to split my audio for my Twitch.
Yeah, no, that's I mean, I'm so happy that you were able to get that up and running, and this looks super cool. I don't know if there's a link to watch the stream now, like if it's still available, but if it is,
it's on my YouTube. Yeah.
Oh, good. Yeah. What and your YouTube is it the same as your Twitter?
Yeah. I think users.
It auto-corrected.
Does it just work? Oh, cool. Okay.
This one here, right?
And then so we've cut it up and put them into that's the very last one. So we put it into a playlist.
Got it. Okay. Find the playlist.
Yeah.
NextTrain. All right. Y'all go watch this, because that looks absolutely fascinating.
Yeah, it really was. And especially if you have the time to help contribute, I know they'd be really grateful.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so back to SVG.
That was another tangent.
No, that was a good tangent. That was a great tangent. So really, like, what that shows, that the complexity of this site and all of this that's happening, you know, this is something that would be a completely opaque spreadsheet otherwise. And so being able to take these and break them down and show things like these connections here, because if I'm just looking at this, I don't really know what this means. This immediately starts to show me something. I can see at least at some level, this data has something to do with like a global set of data. This is something that affects everybody. And so it starts to show what the data means without me even needing to like read anything about it. And I think that's really fascinating that you can do that with data visualization. So to kind of follow that back, we can go here where now we're able to start drawing these lines, which can become more complex and start showing that level of data visualization.
Yeah, so let me kind of explain to you what's going on in here. So in an SVG path, there's a set of commands. And if maybe, actually, I'll just explain them. So the different commands I end up using a lot are M, which equals move to. And I'm just going to start typing them in here.
Yeah, no
or should I type them in the, okay, yeah. And L, which equals line to. C, which means curve to. Oh, yes, thank you for putting it in the, and then I think I use A for arc to. And so what I mean by this is move to, and then it goes X, Y, or it doesn't have a function. It's like this, X, Y, hold on. I'll explain this soon. Control point 1. So this one is the one that like I think intimidates absolutely everyone.
ooh, wait, is this a Bezier curve?
Yes.
Ooh, okay. I know this one. I can help. Okay, all right. Watch this. I'm going to show you using visualization. It is here, this one. So a cubic Bezier is where you've got a line that goes from point A to point B, right? And then you can control the curve with this control point. So when you say we're doing control point 1x, control point 1y, control point 2x, control point 2y, then what we're actually doing is we're saying control point 1, and we're setting the x and the y, right? So if we want to make this a really flat curve, we pull the x all the way over, but we leave the y low. If we want to make it really steep, x stays at 0, y goes really high. And then we can control this part here, right? And then if we start getting into like numbers over 1, then we get things like that. Or if we want to, you know, pull really low. And so this is like if you've ever used the pen tool in Figma or Adobe Illustrator or something like that. But it's really cool because this is just math. And then once we get it, we get like these really cool, like this just controls the animation. And so if we do something like this, now it'll like bounce, boom, right? How cool is that? And it's just something that we can do without having to, like we don't have to do any physics. We just like write some math. We're like, oh, I want the curve to go like this. And then we get these cool kind of effects. Like we'll do a little snapback. Bam.
Awesome.
All right. Anyways, that's my.
I love how you tied that in. Actually, you basically did all of my job today. So I also love how you tied that into animation because that is how we do eases, like animation easing. But except today, the way that I use them most of the time is drawing shapes. And so you can imagine, and I love that you said that it's like Illustrator or Figma because, and that's how SVG and it translates into Illustrator so well and vice versa, because it is underneath the hood, all of these just like math functions going on. So yeah, actually you explained the most difficult one, so I don't need to do that anymore. I'm just gonna explain the easier ones. And so those are move to, which you can probably imagine it means The way I like to think about it is if SVG is our like little canvas, then move to is like, I'll take my pen and I'll drop it onto my paper at that XY point.
So to reinterpret that with your current commands, we've said move to 100, 100. So we move the pen from 0, 0, which is up here, and we go 100 over and 100 down, and we don't draw a line. So move is like move without making a line.
Yeah. So move just means wherever the pen is on your paper right now, pick it up and then drop it back down at that new point.
Got it. So we have moved to 100, 100.
Yes.
Okay, great.
And then line 2 means wherever your pen is currently on the paper, draw a straight line to the new points XY.
And so we're starting at 100, 100 because the previous command moved us there. And then we go over 200 and down 300. So over 200, down 300, and just draw a line between those points.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay, this is making sense.
And actually, next, then I was gonna explain curve too, but you've explained it.
No, let's show it, because I think that's going to be such a it'll be really cool to see these kind of like click together. So if you want to make this a curved line,
what would you do? So let's do it this way. Let's actually create the shape of the bucket together. And so what I'm gonna do is I want to center the bucket around 0, 0, because then when we bring it into our JavaScript code, it's going to make it easier to center everything.
And can you say a little bit about why?
Yeah, so if you bring up our current code.
Here.
Yeah, do you see how you can tell where the 0, 0 is, in that it's the top left corner of every little bucket, and then it's currently like it scales out this way, and then it's not centered in that little like box that it belongs in, right? And the reason for that is Ben created it for us in like a certain canvas size, and then that. And so it has a center that's like somewhere halfway in the canvas, right?
Right.
And then for us to be able to center it, like we need to calculate his center point and then like do some math to like then move things around, which is fine. But then like there's other things that we're scaling independently of the bucket. So like we're scaling the halo independently of the bucket. And so there's like a few things going on that if we could just create each of the individual elements independently from the others, and then just like create the bucket centered around 0, 0, create the halo centered around 0, 0, create the wings centered around 0, 0. Not that we're going to do the halo today, but that way we can actually move around each of the individual elements to wherever we want without having to do any extra math.
Yes. So I'm going to do a visual representation of what just happened. So we have this square, right? And if we want to resize the square, if 0, 0 is here, then what we end up with is it scales like this. And so if we have like two squares and one of them is this size and we'll say it's red, right? If we want to scale these together, then they're not going to like move the way that we want them to, because they're both going to scale like this, which may or may not be what we're actually trying to do. Whereas if we had them centered up like this, right, then whenever we scale, it moves around the box like this instead of being like this. So we're just, is that right? Because if 0, 0 was here, is that right?
Yeah, so I think that's halfway there. And the other point that I don't know if I was very good at explaining is that when we have the center point be at 0, 0, for example, if we want the red rectangle to be at the like top left corner of the gray rectangle, then the math for moving that over is very easy. So like, for example, if you have the center point for the red rectangle and then drag it all the way to the like top left corner of the gray rectangle. Yeah. And so it's much easier to do the math for that calculation.
Got it. Okay. Yeah. I see. Yeah, I get what you're saying.
Yeah. So the most important part is that we can that we center everything around 0, 0 so that we can move them around and scale them however we want.
Got it.
I guess the better way to explain it is that currently everything is positioned, like all of our different elements are positioned relative to each other, and we want them to be just positioned like to itself.
Right.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That makes sense. So how do we do that, right? So 0, 0 is top left here.
Yeah. So let's do this. This is the reason why I usually like doing it in JavaScript, because then what we do is we have a variable for the width and height. And then what I'll do is, let's say I'm going to just for now do like 0. Actually, you know what? Let's draw a line down. Let's assume that our bucket is going to go into a little container of 100 by 100 pixels.
Okay.
And let's say for now, for ease, that we're going to draw a straight line down one side and a straight line down another side. So let's say, so we want to draw one straight line down on let's see, 50 pixels to the left of 0, 0. So minus 50 pixels to the left.
To the, on the X.
And then we want to start the sideline 50 pixels above 0, 0. So that'd be negative 50.
Okay.
And then let's draw a line down to, let me just draw a straight line from now for now. And so let's say negative 50 and then down to 50 pixels below 0, 0. So that'd be 50, positive 50. You can see it's disappeared.
Hey, thank you for the sub, Nathaniel. I appreciate it. Good to see you.
And now what we're gonna do is we're gonna put this in a group, and we're gonna transform it.
I'm helping.
Sorry.
I helped. There was a typo.
Oh,
I fixed
thank
it.
you. And so what I did there is I said, I want to translate everything in this group by 200 pixels and 200 pixels to the right and 200 pixels down. And the 200 is because here we've defined the SVG width and height to be 400. And let me actually bring that back into here so that it's easier for us to see the reason why it's 200. So yeah, now you see there's a straight line here.
That was a very big like light bulb. I get it. That totally made sense.
And because now we have it all in a group, and now we can just move it wherever we want. Like we can be like, I actually want it at 300, and in fact, I want to scale it up to like 2 times this or something. Or like I actually want it to be like a 0.5 size. And so I guess the important thing is that every single thing in our cute little holy bucket that is tied to some sort of data, like we want to be able to move them or scale them or transform them however many ways independently from the others. And that's why we want to just center them around 0, 0 because it makes it easier to do that math.
So a good question from Eco in the chat. Can you set a negative view box?
I've actually never tried.
All right, so that's an experiment. Eco, if you want to give that a shot and report back, that would be great. I don't want to follow down that rabbit hole because I want to actually make sure we get through this, but I would be super fascinated to know if that works. Okay, so what we've done now, like let me take this this G, and I'll give it a background of red. Will that work?
You can,
Is it
no.
fill?
So here's the thing,
No,
that's a
groups
little
don't
bit
work.
frustrating about SVG is that it has a completely separate set of properties than HTML. Like they're like very similar, but not similar enough. And one of the things is that with groups, you can't style it because it's basically a concept, right? Like if you think about groups in Illustrator, it's just like a group of things and you can style things within it, but you can't style it itself because it's just a concept.
Right. Okay. Yeah. It's just a concept.
It's just a concept.
Okay, I'm in. All right. So I'll just draw with my mouse then. So basically, what we did was you have a box that you are drawing for the bucket, or maybe do you mind if I try to do this?
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm gonna go from L. We want to draw the line to 50 and 50. Okay. And then we want to go up to negative 50 and 50. No, I did that backwards. I want to do it.
But yeah.
Wait, what did I get wrong?
Yes. It's because you drew it back.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So a bucket. It's a bucket now. Kind of.
Yes.
Because we haven't hollowed it out. Because it's like open, right?
Well, okay. So what you're actually seeing right now is that SVG elements tend to default to they do mostly default to a fill of black, and that's why you're seeing everything is black.
So if I do like a fill none.
Yeah, perfect.
Aha! Behold, my bucket.
All right, our stream's done. We're done for the day.
Oh, but check this out. So now, look, we can do like, so now we'll go to like 40 and 40. And now it's like kind of more bucket shaped.
Yeah.
We're doing magic over here. Shirley, you're blowing people's minds. There's a good question in the chat from Milan.
Buckets. Did that just work?
Indeed, holy buckets. So is it faster for the browser to render SVG than something like a PNG?
Oh, I've never looked into that. That's a very good question. And I'm gonna try to take a stab at it, and you should take my word at a lot of salt. So my understanding of, I don't know if I'm equipped to answer this, but I do know SVG is more efficient in that it is just like you said, to draw this. Okay, wait, hold on. This is going to be my guess.
Okay.
Based on my knowledge. So for example, if we were to draw that and save it into a PNG, my understanding of PNG is that it saves like every pixel and the color for that pixel. And that understanding is based on how HTML5 canvas works. And I'm just guessing that they work the same way. So you can imagine, even if you compress it, that's a lot of pixels that's being saved. Whereas with SVG, it really is that one line command that has it rendering like that. So I knew that from a file size perspective, it's much smaller to do an SVG. And I'm guessing from a rendering in the page perspective, it's probably really easy to just execute this command. I don't think I should have tried to explain that because that is way out of my domain of knowledge.
Well, I think, I mean, another way to think about it too is that it depends on what type of work you're talking about, right? Because if you look at this drawing that we've done, this is only a few bytes of code. And it's directly embedded in the page, so there's no HTTP request to load it. So this versus a PNG is going to be, there were fewer jumps for the browser to get this on the screen. And we're like, we're avoiding a lot of over the wire transfer, because like when it's embedded in the page, it's just less stuff. Does that make sense? I think I said something you didn't like.
Oh, well, no, in the sense that I just assumed they meant like loading in SVG versus loading in PNG. So, but I think you're definitely right there that we can just directly embed this into the page. And yeah, I'm going to just quietly move on.
Now, I think honestly, like I am almost 100% certain that the answer to that question is a 10,000 foot it depends, because it's going to depend so much on what you're trying to do and what your use case is. Because if you're layering a bunch of PNGs so that you have like layer-based, movable, animatable images, there's no way that's going to outperform SVG. But if you're trying to do like the world's most complicated SVG to get lifelike reproductions of photos, that's probably going to be heavier than a PNG.
That's a fair point, yeah.
So anyways, that being said, so we've drawn the most photorealistic bucket I've ever seen.
Definitely.
And from here, so we could just name this, right? Like I can just say like bucket.
Yeah. Well, okay. I wanted to put in a Bezier curve in there.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Do you want me to take a stab at this, or do you want to do it?
No, I think you should take a stab at it.
Okay, I'm going to try this. And
talk us through your thought process.
So I'm going to use a curve, and I need to set a control point. And so what I want to do is I want the bottom of this bucket to slightly curve down. Yeah. And so what that means is I would want, if I was going to do this in like Figma, I would click here and I would drag out to like here. Yeah. So that would be, let's say 20 pixels on the X and maybe 10 on the Y.
Awesome.
So I'm going to say my control point goes in between negative 40, 50, which is this one, and the next one, which is here. So I'm going to say control point, and my control point X is going to be negative 20, 60. And then I need my next set. Oh, how does this work? So it's control point 1 X, control point 1 Y, which I feel like I've done. Do I have do I put another C in to do it, or do I just add all 4 in the list?
Add all 5. Yeah, add all 5 in a list. Yeah.
Wait, what's the 5th one?
Oh wait, sorry. Add all 6. Yes, sorry. The rest of the 4. 6 in total. Sorry.
Oh, I think, okay, so I think I understand. So what we're doing here is we're going to replace this one.
Yes.
Okay, so those are my last 2. So then I need my points here, which would be 20 and 60. I have drawn a basket. Okay. Yeah, look at us go. We're drawing curves, we're doing everything in here. And so this is powerful.
Right? You can draw any shape you want. And let me just say, I feel like you conceptually were like so good that you like skipped this step, like you just understood it. But just like how we were saying that, like I think one of the things I kind of skipped over is that when you notice that like all of these only provide the ending point, right? Like the L doesn't have, the line 2 doesn't have the starting point and ending point. The curve does not have the starting point and ending point. It is just an ending point. So all of these that are like just an ending point, it needs to chain off of something first. So like that C, if it was at the beginning, like it needs to have that move too. But once you have the pen dropped onto the paper, you can chain any L, any C, any like A, any of those commands, and you can draw. So like you, like I think naturally understood that and was like, oh, like I already have my line drawn down to this bottom corner. And so that's my starting point for the curve. And I can like and usually I like to think of it as like, I'm going to draw, there's a starting point, and then I have the ending point. That was the 40-50. And you understood that too. You were like, oh, like that line that I drew to the other side, now that's my ending point. And then I just need the 2 control points in the middle. And that was great. So
Yeah.
we have a bucket.
Yeah, so this is incredible. Like we did such a good job here.
You did such a great job here.
No, I if you were not here supervising, we wouldn't be nowhere near this level of bucket.
No, this is awesome.
Yeah, hey mods, can I get you to take a look at the chat, please? And then we from here want to we can, yeah, so it does, yes, Govinda, it will absolutely support gradients. It'll support colors. It'll support all sorts of amazing stuff. Like we can do really, really cool things here with SVGs. And it's like vastly, this is such an overpowered thing. Like you can do everything with SVG. And like when you combine SVG and then you start getting into what like Canvas can do, it is legit mind-blowing what people can accomplish in the browser.
Actually, so I feel like my progression with the web has been like when I first learned HTML and CSS, and I was like, whoa, things appear on the page. Then I learned SVG, and I was like, what? I can do like fill and patterns, and like I can draw different shapes. And then Canvas, I think Canvas was like, oh, like it's more performant. And then like about a year and a half ago, I learned WebGL, and I was like, oh, because then like before in SVG, it's that I can draw a shape and I can fill the entire shape with something. And then when I learned WebGL, I realized that I can create a shape and I can literally choose how each pixel is colored. And then that way I can like that's how, like, one of my dreams has been to do watercolor effects in the browser. And when I learned WebGL, I was like, oh, this is how you do it. And that's how the Hong Kong women artists one, that's my one of my first attempts at like a watercolor effect.
Okay, I want to look at this because we all right, so this is the site. Let me drop it in the chat.
I think you dropped it in the chat before.
Yeah, chat's not paying attention. We gotta these jokers, they can't be trusted. They're just out here trolling us with corgis and boops. But so this is the site, and as I'm scrolling down, things are starting to move. Okay. Oh wow. Yeah. So you did this with WebGL shaders?
Yeah. And I had a lot of help from Matt Delorier.
So cool.
Oh God. And he taught me like how to use noise to do these effects, and it was really amazing working with him.
Oh my God, this is amazing. Yeah, this is super cool.
It like blew my mind.
Look at that. Yeah, this is fun.
I'm glad you enjoyed that part because I put like a lot of thought into how each animation, when each animation triggered at what point. And like where it like, because I had like a lot of fun just thinking through like when the animation came in so that your eyes were naturally drawn in kind of like a circle.
Yeah, it's so good. And like again, this is the type of stuff that is possible now. Like, you know, we're definitely in, you know, this is early days. Like this is like baby's first SVG over here, but at the same time, like
it's so cool.
This is the building block. Like if we go from here, everything else that we build will be made of these, or variations of this. With like, you know, the path is very custom, but like if we wanted to add, like we need to add eyeballs to our bucket, right? So if I want to do that, I can do that.
Let's go do that.
Okay, so do I do that with a circle?
Do you want the eyeball or do you want the top of the bucket?
I don't know.
I'm going to quickly answer someone's question about Canvas, which is yes, I do also use Canvas, and I use Canvas a lot for when I want to animate lots of elements, like when I have over 1,000 SVG elements that I'm trying to like move around on the screen, there's there's a performance lag once you get to a certain number of animation. And so that's when I use Canvas. And then Canvas, it's great because to draw shapes in Canvas, it's conceptually the same of like you draw lines and you draw curves and syntactically very similar. And the only difference is that it uses JavaScript to like make those commands. But yes, okay, sorry. Eyes or top of bucket?
I think so. The top of the bucket is going to be another Bezier curve, right? So let's do.
Actually, we can do an ellipse, which you're going to have to help me Google because I can't remember exactly the syntax for an SVG ellipse. But that might be a fun exercise, and then we can put two eyes in the middle, and then like that maybe, and then we can drop that into our code.
Yes, let's do it. So let's get an SVG ellipse. Okay. Let's look at MDN. I like MDN.
I like MDN too.
So
I wasn't going to judge, but I was going to judge a little bit. I'm just kidding.
Fine. Okay, so let's see if we can reverse engineer here. So we have an ellipse shape or like entity, and then we have the center X, the center Y, the radius X, so how far from the center to this point, and then the radius Y, so center to this point, and that gives us our ellipse.
Yes, perfect.
Okay, excellent. Let's try one. Here. So that's probably going to want to go. What's the paint order? Is it top or?
It's same as HTML. So whatever comes first gets rendered first.
Okay, so we have an ellipse. And inside of our ellipse, we want the center to be, let's just start at like 0, 0 and decide where we go from there. CY is 0. And that what's nice about this is that like this is just going back to your point about centering it. This is going to make our lives so much easier than having to like nudge it to the bottom and right to get it laid over right. So then our radius X will be 100 because it's a 100 pixel wide bucket. And then a radius Y is probably going to be smaller than that. So let's try like 40. Okay, I did something wrong already, which is that I forgot that the radius gets doubled because math. And then we probably want that to be a little bit smaller as well. And maybe a little more.
Awesome.
Okay, so that's getting closer. And then for this, our Y, we probably want to bring that up to like -40. Okay. Maybe I did want that to be like 40.
-50 maybe?
Oh, you want it all the way up? Yep.
Yeah, try that. Because then that will center with perfect.
Oh, are you
and then
you making the top of the bucket? Or the handle?
Wait, are we not making the top of the bucket?
I was totally making a handle. I was definitely looking at the wrong thing.
Oh, okay.
But you know what? This is also cool.
We can also make a handle. So for a handle, you would probably want to do a path. Yeah.
Okay. So all of my confusion was because I was thinking of the wrong thing. So now we can make this red, and then we can give it like a stroke of black, and yeah. So we've got a bucket. Like this is super cool.
We were specific about what top of the bucket means. That is true.
Yeah. Okay. So we've got ourselves a busket, and the busket has a top, and now we can add some eyeballs. Right?
Some what?
Some eyeballs?
Yes.
Okay. And then our eyeballs. If you were going to do this, how would you do it? Because we've got the eyes are going to be two separate circle elements, but they're also going to be connected. Like if we were to change the size or scale of the eyeballs, we wouldn't want one to grow and not the other one. So we want them to be kind of like connected to each other. So how would you manage that sort of thing in an SVG?
I would put it into another group.
So just a subgroup, like in the same.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
But if you want it to be scaled independently of the bucket, then you would probably want to move it out. I guess it depends on what you want to do. Did you want to have it scaled independently of the bucket itself, or is it you're just thinking, let's do it this way for now. Let's leave it in the bucket.
Yeah, because what's nice about building it by hand is we're going to know what all of these things are. So if we need to move them around later, we know how to do that.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then someone asked, will a group within a group scale with the parent group? Yes. The answer is yes.
Okay, so we've got a circle, and the circle, is that the same as the ellipse except there's no Rx and Ry? It would just be like R?
Yeah.
Okay.
Cx, Cy, R.
Okay, so our Cx is going to be, let's try like 30. And then our Cy will be like 30. And our radius will be, let's try 5. Oh, that was wrong.
Okay. Oh, that's so cute though. Wait, no, you should just have it down there. It's just like looking away. and then wait, and then do the other one and have it just be like a little bit, 10.
Regular 10.
Oh my god, it's so cute.
This is great. Okay.
You can place it wherever you want. Oh my god, it's so cute.
This is good. All right, I'm gonna make this like 20.
Oh, okay.
I think that's good, right? That looks fun.
That's really cute. Yeah. Okay. Do you want a bonus round put in the handles?
We can bonus round put in the handle.
Yeah.
And to do.
Someone asked then just to wait, someone asked if I draw SVG by hand. It depends on well, actually most often yes. Because like Jason said, I like knowing where each element is and how to control it. But also a lot of the projects I do, each thing isn't that complex in the sense that like, for example, each bucket here represents a YouTube video. And I don't want each representation to be overly complex, or else it's going to be really hard for the person reading it to like process through all of the information, and then it just gets too busy. So every SVG thing I do is usually pretty simple, and that's why I like to just hand code it. I actually am faster at this than I am with Illustrator. So yeah. And I like the precision that the numbers give me.
It especially when you're going to do something where we're going to be independently sizing things, like knowing what your numbers are, so that it becomes like simple math as opposed to really complex, like detect size, then do this scale, and then which I think is that's really nice. I'm going to move this to the top so that our reference stays up at the top. And then, okay, so to do our handle, it would be a new path.
We have a few different options.
Ooh, okay.
If you would like to hear your options.
I would.
So I think it might be easier. So there's three options. You can keep using your cubic Bezier curve, or we can do a cubic Bezier curve, which is, and then the third option is an arc 2. And after I said that, I realized that actually the easiest is probably still the cubic Bezier curve. So ignore me and let's use the cubic Bezier curve.
Okay. So let's do a path, and we'll set up the D, and we'll give it a stroke of black and a fill of none, so that we can see our outline as we drive it. I want to move to -52 and -45. Then we're going to add a line that goes, no, I want a curve. And the curve is going to go, so we've positioned it like here. So the curve, I want to go like straight down.
Which way did you want to draw it?
I was going to draw it like this. Or I guess we probably want to draw it like this, don't we?
Do you want to draw it Actually, we can do that too. Or do you want to draw it above? Actually, no. Above or that way?
Chat, vote. What do you think? Up or down for the handle? Oh, hey, Dom. Good to see you.
Down.
Three downs, 4 down. Yeah, lots of downs. Okay, we're going down.
Okay. All right.
So we'll go to let's go to negative 30 and negative. Let's see, so it starts at negative 30, negative 45, so up and to the left. So we want to come down to like 20, get a nice steep curve on it. Then we're going to move over to like 60 because we want it to curve outside.
Yes.
And then we want to go probably like 20 again. And our end point is going to be 52 and negative 45. How did I do on a freehand draw? Look at that.
I don't think I've seen anybody get this so naturally as you have.
So to be fair, the way that I started my career was in pre-press. So some of the first computer work that I ever did was adjusting Illustrator stuff. And so I've spent a lot of time with like the pen tool and figuring out how to draw those curves and where to move the handles to get things to do what I want. So this is something that I've had a ton of practice in not doing SVGs, but in doing Illustrator stuff. So it kind of, sort of makes sense to me.
That came really naturally for you. That was awesome.
Okay, so let's.
Are you adjusting it now?
Yeah, just a little bit of adjustment. What if I keep it at 20?
I think, how about we bring it out even further this way? Let's see what happens then.
Ooh, good call.
And then what if we do, what if we make it actually a little bit more this way, and then it actually, well, no.
Ooh, I like what you're doing
so like
here.
bring it in. So this one actually, let me do this and see what happens.
Yep, I like that.
It goes a little bit more that way.
Bring it down over here, and then we'll bring it in until it touches. So I think that'll be like 49. It's a good
50 probably.
You think so?
Oh no, you're right. I think no, you're right. Awesome. And actually, I wonder what would happen if I did this.
A good basket. All right. Well, now I feel like we gotta add a smile. We need a. So here's a question.
Mustache? Actually, don't do the mustache. That's too much.
Yeah, the mustache will take a while. Let's do a smile. Yeah. So the way I'm going to do the smile is we'll just draw like a half circle. And I think the way we can do that is by doing, so we'll start with a line, and then we'll draw a cubic Bezier curve that goes down all the way over. So basically like a square, like a square-ish rectangular Bezier curve. And then we'll just draw back to the start. And that should give us our smile.
Let me show you. So the reason why I mentioned the two other options before is because you might like a quadratic Bezier curve, which is basically instead of 2 control points, it only has 1 control point. And so it basically is like if you're. I'm trying to figure out where my. Oh, there we go. Okay, so I think this way. So if you have your 2 starting and ending points, a quadratic one has a control point, and then it just like kind of follows. Like if you imagine that there's a triangle that gets made, then it follows that. So then it's like one less control point you have to think about.
I really like that. So, do you know that one like off the top of your head?
Yeah. So that one, the one that I can never remember is arc2, and I was like, oh, I hope we don't have to do that one.
Let's go. We're gonna make a small. We'll do a small. I'm just gonna move to 0, 0, and then we'll move it from there. So then, sounds good. If I want to do quadratic,
a Q. Sorry.
Yeah. Oh, a Q. Okay. And so I'm at 0, 0,
Mm-hmm.
So the quadratic, do I just draw the point and then I'll add another point after that?
So it's the same as the cubic in that it is control point and then ending point.
Control point, ending point. Okay, so we're going to do, we'll move over 10 and down 10. And then our ending point will be over 20 and up 0. Perfect. So let's move down to like.
So actually, if you want to just make that centered around 0, 0, you can actually transform that independently. So for example, try doing, wait, here.
I've done so many bad
Let me
things
show you
here.
something.
Yes, please do.
No. Let's wait, hold on. I'm just gonna, no. This was great. Okay, so I'm just gonna do this centered around 0, 0. And so this was 0, and then you want it to go halfway down, and then 10. And so we've drawn a cute little mouth here. I'm gonna just stroke it also. And then fill. Did you want to fill? I'm gonna do fill none for now.
That's a
and
perfect
then
start.
we can do. Sorry, what?
I said that's a perfect start.
And then we can also do a transform translate in here. So then we can just move this down where we want. And so where we wanted might be, let's say 20 over, and then we want it down by, let's say 25. See what happens there.
I get you.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh, what a cute bucket. Let's do this.
Oh, I
There
love
we
it.
go.
I love it. It's so good. And now if I change this, like let's override, if I set the width to say 600 and the height to 600.
Mm-hmm.
Does that override? Oh, it has to be pixel. I have to set
no, because I think, oh, there we go. Yeah.
Okay. And so what we've done here, can you do percentages?
Yes.
No.
I lied. I thought we could.
Okay, so that's fine. So what we would want instead is like our width. Would we want a view box in this case because that would make it fit, or like how would we make this scale?
Do you mean like how do we? Because you've set the width and height to 600 to 600.
Mm-hmm.
And are you saying like how do we have it scale all the way up to 600, 600, or?
Yeah.
I'm a
So
little bit confused.
I think so. Hold on. Eco sent me a thing. So the view box thing does totally work. So view box.
Ooh.
100 line 100 100. Cool. Okay. So yeah, so you start with your offset X and Y and then your width and height. So this is a 0, 0 centered box, which is very cool.
Ooh.
So that might be, or that's an exercise for, I think, another thing, but well, actually it might not be. Let's try this. I'm just going to try something. I might regret it, but.
And while you do that, I'm just going to say, SVG, the way I like to think about SVG is that it's kind of like there's like a world, an SVG world. And when you create like an SVG element, it's like a window into that SVG world. And so a lot of times people might get a bug where they're like, oh, I drew something and nothing shows up. And the reason for that is because you only made a tiny little window into the SVG world, and you've drawn something like outside of that window. And so I think it's really great that you like did the whole background color thing so that you can see where your window is.
Mm-hmm.
And also, I'm just going to confess that I am really bad with viewbox, and it intimidates me. Okay.
Well, but look, so Eco, thank you very much for saving that because it just saved us. So basically what just happened is we drew a view box that is 400 pixels by 400 pixels. And then we offset the top and Y by 50% of the width and height. So our 0, 0 is still the center, but now when we scale it using CSS, it sticks with us. So if I take this and I make it like 200 pixels, everything scales. So that is straight magic. And it's still 0 centered. So we, like, no matter what we do, these will all scale with us, which is really, really cool. So thank you, Eco, for doing that experiment. I am very, very, very excited that
Which
worked.
is awesome. I'm just gonna be the bad rain on the parade.
Oh no.
Which is, I'm sorry. The reason why we tend to use things like we tend to just set a width height on the SVG element itself, like in JavaScript, is because you can imagine now we want to create a halo. And that halo isn't translated or scaled the same way as the bucket. Did that make sense?
Wouldn't it? Well, so the bucket isn't translated or scaled at all anymore because it's just centered in this viewport. So I think if we do, let's try and see what happens. So if I do a halo, and let's say that my halo is going to be an ellipse, and we are going to set a center of, or no, what is it? Center X of, we'll go negative 10, and a center Y of negative 80. And then we'll do the radius X will be, let's say, like 80. We'll make it a huge halo. And the radius Y will be like 20. And then we'll set a fill of none and a stroke of yellow. Okay, so I need to set it, I need to move it in the order so it paints correctly. And then we can like transform, and we'll rotate by turn. Is that right? That's not right.
I actually have never used that. Wow. I don't think that's an SVG thing. In SVG, you have to do degrees. Yeah.
What am I doing wrong?
Why is that not going? That should go. SVG rotate.
Transform, rotate.
Oh, I think you don't specify degrees.
Oh,
I always get it confused because in SVG you don't specify, and in CSS you do specify.
And then is it just like stroke width if I want to make it?
Yeah. But dash and lowercase w. Awesome.
Okay, so this is, you know, this is getting kind of promising. And then I think, is this confirming your suspicion? Like, is it still not what you would do, or am I?
So we want to scale the bucket and the halo independently. We want to be able to move it around and scale it independently.
And then did you do it like this with the scale? Is that right? Is that what you were expecting?
I think we can try going down this path. So yeah, so you can probably, like, what you're seeing right now is that it's being scaled to the 0, 0. Which means that when you scale, you can see that it doesn't maintain the same place. Like, do you see how when you are translating it, maybe we can do the view box. Wait, hold on. So put aside my comment about viewbox. Maybe I'm just like really allergic to it and it scares me, and maybe that's why I'm biased against it, and maybe it does work. But I'm just gonna do some things to this part and explain why. So
Yes.
what you're seeing right now is that you've drawn this halo at like some point right here where the origin 0, 0 is here. And that's why when you scale something, it's being scaled relative to this origin. And SVG has this weird thing also where the order in which you apply the transforms matter. Like if you do a scale before a translate, like it has a different effect than the other way around.
That okay, and that makes sense because you're performing them sequentially. You're not doing them all at once.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so it has like an internal like yeah. And so what we actually want to do is actually we want to center it at 0, 0. And then that way, so this is what it would look like center at 0, 0. And that way we can translate itself independently of the bucket.
I get you. Okay.
Like we can, wait, hold on. And actually more I think about it, more that the view box might be okay.
And so then if we make it like huge,
then it should stay in the same
scales
place
exactly
and just
where we want it to.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Oh, that's great. So that totally works then.
Yeah. So I think it might just be that I was just scared. So this works well in if it's just one. And it might also work well when it has the rest. Actually, yeah. You know what? Thank you, EcoMath. I think this is great.
Did we just change your life, Shirley?
I'll be honest. I'll probably still be doing it the way I do it, which is in JavaScript. I'll save the width and height of the container, and then I'll do everything relative to that because a lot of times it's not that I'm trying to center just one thing. A lot of times in the SVG container, I'll have like a lot of things that I'm trying to position. Absolutely. But if it is just one thing we're trying to position, this is great.
Yeah. Yeah. And this is really cool too, because it's like, what I like about it is that we, in this particular instance, like with this exact SVG, what we've done is we've built it in such a way that there's a single control to make it work the way that we want. So as we like mess around with this, you know, no matter what value we put in here, the position is where we would want it. And so that is really handy. And that'll simplify, especially for the data visualization that we're working toward. Like, all we want to do in this particular case is kind of change the scale a little bit of things, and we're going to change colors of things. So this gives us like, this is really nice. I think this is going to be really, really handy.
Should we just drop it into our view code really quickly and adjust it?
Hell yeah, we should. All right, so let's grab this out, and then we'll go over here. And so we're going to, all right, I'm going to drop this in next to the original so that we can look at what changed. I'm also going to drop these out. So look at I'll link, all this will be linked in the show notes. So the SVG that we built, I'll put that code pen in the show notes. And then this source code that we mess with here will also be linked in the show notes. So in here, what we're looking at is, let's look at the old one because there's some stuff that changed. We created an SVG and we made it huge. And then we looped through our groups and we are effectively moving the group around to tile inside of our, okay, so that makes sense. So we can do the same thing here, which means, yeah, we didn't do any styling. Go ahead.
Wait, So let's, instead of looping and tiling the groups, let's take advantage of the SVG and let's just loop and create the number of SVGs we need for the buckets, because that way SVG acts like a normal HTML element. It will tile naturally for us. And that way, the view box that Ecomath did for us will be maintained too. But this is what I mean in that, like, that's why sometimes when I'm like looping through and creating a lot of SVG elements, like a lot of groups or something, I like the view box doesn't quite work for me because I need to position everything absolutely. But for what we're trying to do, I think it's great. So let's actually take the V4 and apply it to the SVG. And I actually promised my husband that would be done at noon. So
okay. Well, maybe
we need to go get groceries.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I mean, I think we can go back and revisit how we did this in the second part of this series, because we've already done this, right? So I don't think we need to do this right now. We can let you go because we're over time.
No.
Oh, okay. All right. I'm trying to give you an out here, Shirley.
It's so close. It's literally that for loop. No. Don't take the, like, it's like the grand reveal. It's like, literally, if we don't do this, it's literally just like a 10-minute stream next time.
Okay. So we are doing a loop.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't like my loop. What doesn't it like?
Why wouldn't it like your loop?
Require for key. Did I miss a piece? Oh, key.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Okay.
That makes sense.
All right. And then I'm going to comment this out.
Yes.
Okay. Saving.
Okay. Shall we take a look? Cute. Okay, so right now what's happening is that I think your CSS has the SVG set to, or something. We probably have the CSS set to.
Let's check what
do we have any?
I think we just manually set this.
Maybe down in the CSS we can set the SVG width and height.
I'm going to give that a class name that I know I didn't use so that we can target it quickly. And we'll say bucket SVG, and we'll say a width of 100 pixels and a height. We know it's square, so we'll just make it 100 pixels. And let's make it ooh. Look at our buckets.
Why is there so much padding between them?
Because we made it 400 pixels. And we're not scaling, because what we were doing before is we'd left a bunch of space for when it scaled so that the view box didn't cut off. But we are not currently doing that. So the other thing that we've got in here that we're not currently using is, like, we have this scale.
Scaling. Yeah.
So if
let's just put the scale on there.
I'm going to take the scale of the bucket size and we'll put it on our bucket.
And then let's take the.
Look at it working. Okay, so then what?
And then there's the halo. Where's the halo scale? Up, 30, line 30.
Line 30.
Transform.
Halo size. Oh, it's so good. Okay, here's our halo. So I'm going to put this. Oh, wait, we need to keep part of it. We need to keep our translate.
Yes.
Okay.
And then we'll just put the scale part in.
Get rid of this.
Perfect.
Save. Okay. And
then maybe we can make the SVG a little bit bigger.
Yeah, let's do that. I'm also going to make it red so it's easier to see on that white background. And we'll let's make it
evil halo.
We'll make it
300. Cute. Okay, so the one last thing we do need to do is to calculate the translate of the scale so that it sits relative to the bucket.
Okay.
And so I'm going to run through that really quickly with you, because now that we have the fact that it's that we drew the bucket in kind of like an 100 by 100 pixel square, and now we know the scale, what we can do is calculate the XY position of the halo based on it's essentially we can so here, so you see how, so let's wait. Yeah. Sorry, I'm like, okay, now in the -30, -80, go in there, go in line 15. And I think if we just do -30 times the bucket size, I think,
bucket size.
I might not be fully thinking this through, but hopefully. There we go.
Look at that. Look at that beautiful bucket. Shirley, it's so much fun doing stuff with you because it just feels like magic.
I'm so happy.
This is so cool. I'm so on board with this. Yeah, so Shirley, thank you so much. I know we ran a little bit over time. Chat, thank you so much for hanging out. Before we wrap, is there anything that you want people to do now? Where should they go next? Check you out? Follow, like,
there's like one last.
You refuse to go grocery shopping. I am not taking responsibility for you being here too long.
I'm not trying to rush us, but I want completion. So if you could just move the V4 and key out into a div so that we can put in another div right below the SVG with the episode name, then it would be 100% complete.
Okay, so we've got our bucket wrapper. Okay.
And then in a few minutes, we'll be complete.
All right, so right now we did this with text before, but we have an episode label.
Yeah, so we can do it with a div this time.
Okay. Am I doing that right? That's wrong.
Double mustache.
Double mustache. Okay, and so then to make that work, we would do like our bucket wrapper, and that would be like a width of 300 pixels. I think that'll just work.
And then we can do display inline block.
There we go.
Woo!
We've got buckets, we've got visualizations, and these are being generated from our data, which is very, very cool. I love that y'all are trying to bury us in boops right now. That is making me very happy.
Boops are a good thing, right?
The boops are a very good thing. Yes, I believe these are celebratory boops. So with that being done, I think, Shirley, are you happy with this? This is an acceptable level of completion for you?
Yes, for this episode. And maybe we can have one more short episode to like style everything.
Okay, perfect. I'm totally down on that. And
we can put sparkles in, and yeah. So one last short episode to style, put in the sparkles. Oh, this is so much further than I thought we were gonna get to.
Especially, yeah, considering like we were talking about this yesterday. Like, do we have anything to talk about tomorrow? What are we gonna do? Like, I don't remember how any of this works.
Yeah, I was like, let's just catch up.
All right, y'all. This has been a blast. Thank you so much for hanging out. Shirley, as always, it's been an absolute pleasure.
It's been likewise, absolute pleasure. Thank you for having me on.
The data, everything that we've been using is in the repo. These will be added to the show notes as well. So chat, stay tuned. We're going to raid. And also make sure you mark your calendar because we've got all sorts of fun stuff coming up. We're going to have Dom, a longtime friend of the show, on to teach us Cloudinary and GraphQL. We've got Thor from Stripe and Nick DeJesus coming on to teach us how to do donations on Jamstack sites. And that's just this week. So go check the schedule. Make sure you mark your calendar. It's going to be a blast. Shirley, as always, it's been an absolute pleasure. And
likewise.
We'll see you next time.
Thank you for having me on. Bye-bye.